Colorado Morton is riding far. He won't be back with the Circle Bar. The boss, he sent him into town to ship the last of the Longhorns down. Although he hadn't no business head, and it was a turn of me, a red. Colorado Morton run them brutes down the dead horse from Coyote Buttes, and 3 days later he delivered them steers to the boss's agent, which his name was Beers. And he was an ornery, no-count clerk, which never had nothing to do but shirk. He says to Colorado, says he, "Old pard, here's a wire for you. Just sign the card, pen your cattle, and sit on your tail, for the westbound Limited has jumped the rail." Colorado Morton, he read his wire. It would have made a better man than him perspire. It wouldn't have given no pleasure to you nor me. It was from his sister up in B.C. "They're a-hangin' my husband. It ought to be you. May God forgive you. Sister Lou." And she told him where the hanging was at day after tomorrow at Medicine Hat. Colorado Morton hadn't meant no harm. There was a shindy up to Broken Arm. Him and his brother-in-law, Jim Graham, was a-sitting in at the poker game when a lousy Swede of a lumberjack dealt hisself 3 aces from under the pack. Now, I ain't never held with the blame Canucks. They sure are a bunch of ornery bucks. But one thing is certain as hell. They ain't got no respect for a sinner nor a saint, and if any killing you happen to have done, by God, they'll hang you as sure as a gun unless you can put it in evidence that the aforesaid killing was in self-defense. And self-defense is a damn poor name for a row that started in a poker game. Jim Graham was there, you can bet you're a tootin', but 'twas Colorado Morton that did the shootin'. Kirk Hine of the mounted police butted in. The boys pulled out, and they rode like sin. By cutting the corners mighty fine, they just got across the Idaho line. Jim Graham, for a month or two, he stayed around with the boys till the dust got laid. But Mort, as soon as he got across, he settled down a-punchin' cows for the boss. He did his job like a puncher should, but the valves of his heart wasn't never no good. He used to pant in that mountain air, he used to cuss, and he used to swear, and whenever his pony would buck or jump, the valves of his heart, they would hammer and thump. But just the same, old Mort was a star and the best horse wrangler in the Circle Bar. When he had read that telegram through, he sure was a puzzled buckaroo. He turned to Beers, "You son of a gun, why didn't you send it to me on the run? You send them a wire to Medicine Hat and tell them I'm coming, and that's that." But Beers, he answers, "The wires is all down, and you can't get a telegram out of town." "My God," says Mort, "then they'll hang poor Jim. And if he is Lou's husband, I'm fond of him. I do not savvy a job of this style. It's every inch of 200 mile. Beers, he says, it's one hell of a ride. And you'll never make it. And they'll hang you beside. But Colorado Morton, he just says, 'Good night, all I care is my cinches tight.' And away he gallops up the yaller hill, while his heart had hammered and his heart stood still. Well, that doggone cayuse was a good Mustang, and he must have figured that his boss would hang, for anyway, he ate up that flat stretching away to Medicine Hat. And doggone cayuse was doggone tired when they hit the border beyond Fort Baird. The sweat was a-running on every hair. But it didn't do Mort any good to swear. Men can keep a-going on their nerve or their head, but you cannot ride a horse after it's dead. And Colorado Morton could not ride that doggone cayuse after it died. So there he stood on the edge of the snow with 120 miles to go. He looked, and he saw a campfire shine 1,000 feet below timberline. And he says, I'll beat it down and see if them blighters can lend a horse to me. If they haven't a pony.